Okay, welcome to my webinar, Easy Energy Experiment. I'm just going to jump in and find my slides, and if anyone else pops in, I will add them as well. So just bear with me for a second. Why can't I? That's great. That's what I was involved. Okay, so thank you for joining me today for Easy Energy Experiments. We're going to go through 9 options that are all about increasing your energy without spending extra time and money. So firstly, I want to make an acknowledgement of country. I'm in Australia and I am on Darkinjung country. So I acknowledge the people of Darkinjung country as the custodians of the place that I'm working from. I recognise and acknowledge that custodianship and the special bond of the Darkinjung people is eternal and sacred. And I'm committed to listening and learning from the Darkinjung people about this beautiful coastal place and how I can deepen my appreciation and respect for the culture. I also want to acknowledge that I am neurodiverse and I'm happy for anyone to have their camera off. And if you feel the need to make any stims, which is movements, then that is acceptable as well. I will find that I'm moving my hands a lot because that is a stim for me. And if you need to do that, then I welcome you to do that. So it's easy options to increase your energy without spending extra time or money. And I'm Joan. So I am a holistic nutritionist and a body love coach. I have a bachelor in food science and human nutrition and have been working in this field for 6 years. Free fun facts about me is I'm left-handed. As I said, I'm neurodiverse and I do share about my ADHD. And my favorite hobby is crochet. I am often crocheting as a stim while I watch TV. So today we're going to cover intake and what you can eat for energy, movement and how to get extra energy in your day, simplifying things and setting goals that we will smash, and why it's important to set goals that are achievable, and the next steps. So I'll be offering to have a one-on-one chat with you. So let's start with intake. So sugar is a common issue for people, and it's something that they may turn to because it gives them energy. The average Australian consumes 60 grams of sugar, which is equivalent to 14 teaspoons. The recommended amount of sugar is 6 teaspoons. So we are consuming a lot of sugar in our diets. So firstly, the 3 experiments that I would recommend that we try to cut down on sugar is don't use added sugar. If you're adding it to a cup of tea, if you're adding it to your breakfast, if you're making any meals, there's lots of replacements for sugar, honey, maple syrup, and it is important to reduce it because, as everyone knows, high sugar intake is not good for your health. The next way I recommend is to reduce the consumption of sugary beverages. So if you're drinking iced teas with a lot of sugar, caffeinated beverages are another big one that are full of sugar, and soda, soft drink. And then another way to help is to add some spices to your meals. So adding spices like cinnamon, turmeric, sage, all these ones give you boosts to your food and make it taste a bit better. Not necessarily sweet, but as I said, if you're replacing sugar, you want to try with honey and maple syrup. But if you're trying to up the flavor, then look at spices. It's a great way to up your flavor. Intake other than that is some suggested things to add to your diet. So these things are all going to up your energy. You've probably heard people say that having an apple in the morning is equivalent to having a cup of coffee. Now, I'm not recommending that you stop drinking coffee, but I would say that adding apple to your diet is a good way. Spinach is another one. It's also high in iron. It's actually the highest percentage of iron in a vegetable comes from spinach. Sweet potatoes, sesame seeds, bananas, tomato, almonds, and other nuts as well are really good. Cashews and chestnuts, eggs and salmon. And having eggs and salmon is something I recommend to neurodiverse people because it's got a lot of protein in it, and the protein gives you dopamine. And I will talk about a little bit more about dopamine and what it is and why it helps us. Beans is another one, and not just green beans, but any type of beans. Kidney beans, black beans are great as well. And green tea. So a little bit on green tea. Why I recommend green tea is because it's a natural source of caffeine. If you are like me, neurodiverse, you may have found that in the past you have been, or currently, I should say, addicted to sugar and caffeine to help you get through the day. There are some really good reasons for that because it acts similar to a stimulant medication. So green tea and caffeine, it's not all bad. The next step we will go through is movement. So I've got a couple of suggestions here around movement. And obviously, a lot of people already know that movement benefits your sleep. It also boosts serotonin and dopamine. So a little bit about those. I am a scientist, so I do like getting into a little bit of the science. Dopamine is known as the reward chemical. So basically, when you achieve something, you set a goal and you achieve that goal, you get dopamine through your body. And the dopamine makes you feel good. It will instantly improve your mood. Think of when you have that caffeine, that can give you a dopamine. When you have that sugar, that can give you dopamine. So what we want to do is, if we are reaching for sugar and caffeine, replace it with some more natural sources of dopamine. So yeah, basically walking and running and dancing all increase your dopamine. And serotonin is the happy chemical. Lots of people already know that. It gives you energy and it doesn't deplete you. So even though you're doing an activity where you think, oh, it takes so much effort to go out and go for a walk, it actually releases these chemicals that give you more energy. So exercise and movement don't equal depletion. They actually equal more energy. So that's a really great thing for anyone that's struggling with energy, because it sounds counterintuitive to go say, go for a walk to get some energy. And my next 4 suggestions would be have some dance breaks. Doesn't take you extra time, doesn't take you extra money. You're just putting some music on while you're doing home duties, while you're in the car. Car dancing is great. Extra steps is a simple one. It just means parking a bit further away from where you need to go, and just adding extra steps in where you might otherwise take the elevator and that sort of thing. And if you have kids, playing with your kids is a really good one. That's also going to give you the dopamine and the serotonin. So I'm big on finding natural ways to get dopamine and serotonin boosts. Remember, it's all an experiment. The reason why I give you 9 ideas is because I believe that everybody is going to need different ideas and different things work for different people. So you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to do it all or nothing. I'm not saying go and do these 9 things, and if you don't, you're not going to get any results. What I'm saying is try some of these things, experiment with them, keep the ones that work and get rid of the ones that don't work. The next thing I wanted to go through is simplifying things. So basically, if your goals are too hard and unachievable, then you may feel like you are not getting anywhere. It doesn't have to be hard and it doesn't have to take extra time. So when you write a goal, don't make it, I'm going to exercise 7 days a week, because that is probably quite a challenge. Most people don't exercise 7 days a week. Write yourself a goal of, I'm going to exercise 3 days a week, if that is something that is easy for you. If you go, oh, that's so easy, I'm not going to have any problem with that. Excellent, because once you've reached that goal, you get the dopamine hit. And then number 8 would be reward your wins. So every time you do reach those goals, celebrate them. Even if you just share it with your best friend or your husband or your kids, just say, oh, I've been for a walk 3 times this week. I feel so good. It's a great way to recognize that you've got that goal before you go and set other goals. And take it slow and make it easy. Just because you did 3 days this week doesn't mean you have to up it to 4 days next week. You can consistently do the 3 days and reach that goal every week if you like. That's fantastic. That gives you the dopamine, it gives you the serotonin. And then try habit stacking. So that is the 9th idea that I have here, and it basically relates back to everything I've just said. Habit stacking is trying one thing, getting it done, becoming a habit before adding more things in. Now, for neurodiverse people, it can be very hard to avoid, and it's such a temptation and an impulse to decide that you need to go all in. I'm going to quit sugar. I'm going to work out 7 days a week. And, you know, you might be successful in the short term, but it's not sustainable and it's not healthy. You don't want to be setting goals that are so hard that by the end of the first week, you're exhausted. You didn't actually reach any of those goals, so you haven't been able to reward your wins. So habit stacking is choosing just some of these things and working on them slowly. This is how you get sustainable change, and this is how you're going to make the big changes long term. So try habit stacking. If you're currently feeling drained, tired, overwhelmed, then let's work together and make some sustainable change. The outcomes are you're going to feel energized, you're working on yourself, and you're filling up your cup. Like most people, mums especially, and neurodiverse people tend to look after everyone else and forget about themselves. So some of these habit stacking ideas are really for you. They're for you to feel better, and they're for you to succeed and achieve. It's all about putting on your oxygen mask first before you're trying to help everybody else. If you're familiar with the spoons philosophy, it talks about having a certain amount of spoons to get through your day, and different tasks take different amount of spoons. And for neurotypical people, they tend to have spoons left over at the end of the day. And for neurodiverse people, we tend to use like a lot more spoons every time we do a task, because there's initiating the task, there is maintaining focus and not getting bored, and there is task completion. For a neurotypical person, those steps are kind of intertwined and much easier for them to achieve. That is why I also say that if you feel that you need to move while I'm talking, I'm not asking anybody to sit still, because I myself am moving my hands, I'm swinging on my chair, and that is helping me to not use so many spoons to get this job done. And there are so many ways that neurodiverse people need these accommodations in their life to help them not use so many spoons. Okay, so I have moved fairly fast through this. I will say that it is the first time I've presented this, and I'm a little nervous. So I wasn't expecting it to be done quite so quickly, but I want to go to this point where if you want to type in the chat box, if you like, which experiments that you think that you might choose and start with. So another thing that I like to do at the end of something like this is to do a quick summary of what we've covered, because if you did get distracted during any of the talking, then this is a summary that basically shows what I spoke about. And this would be something that I send out in an email to summarize what we've spoken about. So intake. Are you going to stop adding sugar to some of your cups of tea and some of your cereals? Again, I just want to say that I'm not talking about cutting out sugar. I'm not saying that we're going to remove it altogether, but I'm saying that reducing it is a great idea to help you. And, you know, like I said, the habit stacking, if you're reducing it, then when you get set on that level, you can cut it in half again. Excuse me, I just need a sip of water. Reduce your consumption of sugary beverages. I know for me personally that I have in the past been a heavy drinker of Coke. And when I found out that the caffeine has a stimulating effect and so does the sugar, it really made sense to me that that's why I was consuming so much of it, and it became an addiction. I've quit Coke plenty of times, but I've realized that cutting something out and the all or nothing just really doesn't work for me. And add some foods for energy. So as I said, that's spinach and some honey and some nuts. Some of these foods that add energy to your body are going to be great when you're doing things like reducing the amount of sugar that you are consuming. So there's lots of easy recipes, and I generally share stuff on my page when I'm trying something new. So then the next one is movement. So dance breaks. This is, again, great to do with your kids, but also just when you're at home doing stuff or on your lunch break while you're not sitting in front of your computer working, get up and move around. Extra steps, use the stairs. Hop up from your table once an hour. This is great as well. And playing with your kids. So that's a good one to choose. Kids have got abundant energy, and we can really get that dopamine and serotonin from them. And simplify, like I said, don't make any goals that you feel are hard or that you will struggle with, because you won't get that dopamine hit when you achieve them. Reward your wins, same thing. You get that dopamine because you're rewarding yourself for smashing those goals. And try habit stacking. So choose some of these things and work on them one at a time. And then you will see the long-term effects rather than going into the all or nothing, which you will struggle with long-term. Not quite. Oops, sorry, wasn't moving there. Okay, so at the beginning, I mentioned that I'd love to work with you on your 3 main goals, and I'd love to have a one-on-one session with anyone that would like it. So if you are interested in booking a session with me, you can find my website and my email at the bottom of the page there, and get some gentle accountability. So I come from a very judgment-free place. So I am definitely not trying to judge anything that you're eating, judge anything that you're doing. And I'm here to support you and help you step through with some of this habit stacking. So if you'd like to, you can contact me on either of those. Does anyone have any questions? I'll just have a look. Rachel said she would add some energy foods, do some extra steps, and write easy goals. Fantastic. Yeah, I really like the write easy goals, because I think a lot of the time we're told that goals have to be challenging. And sometimes that does work, but not always. And let's do some easy goals that we can succeed in. And you can find me here. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, via email, or in the web. So I have moved very fast through that, and next time I'll probably take my time a little bit more. I'm going to stop recording so that I can share this on some of my social medias later. Okay, thank you guys. I'm just going to stop recording.